Warning, the following opinions are that of my own and not of the larger whole of any fandom. Also, while major adult content will never be shown and or allowed, some adult language may be used at any time. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello everyone, welcome to Zeltrax's interviews where, like David K., this one might make or break my entire freaking career. Let's see how this goes. So again, I'm Zeltrax Millennium, Jesse Elias, and with me I have a very special guest, the CEO of Starlight Runner Entertainment, Jeff Gomez. How are we doing, Jeff?
Hey, I'm doing okay, Jesse. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's like, funny thing, people, I was not expecting to actually land this interview. It's like, I was just mentioning to Jeff in emails about some mishaps in the Ultraman community, and I just asked on a whim, "Hey, would you mind doing an interview with me?" And you just said, "Sure." It was like immediately right after. I'm like, "Really?"
Ultraman
yeah,
fans are very special to me. I'm an Ultraman fan. The opportunity to talk about what I do and what's happening with Ultraman, how could I refuse?
Yeah. But yeah, we do have quite a few questions to get into. I managed to do a couple with my Hero Club buddies last night, so we should be pretty good. Speaking of Hero Club, I know you've actually done an interview with them last year, so this is basically a kind of a follow-up interview. What made you decide to start Starlight Runner Entertainment in the first place, and what kind of things did you want to do with the company?
Sure. My history goes back quite a ways. I started out as a shy kid who got kind of picked on a lot, and my escape was cartoons and movies. Particularly appealing to me was Japanese anime and tokusatsu. The reason was because there was a level of seriousness and a level of sincerity to that content that I kind of vibed with. There was also a kind of epic quality to the stories. They were long form narratives that really were appealing to me. As I got older, I started studying how those stories were created and how narrative in general is constructed, and wound up getting a job in comic books and role-playing games and in video game development. This was in the 1990s when technology was really kind of advancing. And of particular interest to me was the Nintendo 64 platform and the advent of multiplayer online games, which were facilitated through the web. It occurred to me at that point that stories were going to kind of flow across multiple media platforms, and story worlds needed to be designed to be able to do that. So I formed a company in 2000 called Starlight Runner Entertainment that basically applied my understanding of multi-platform narrative and applied it to various brands and intellectual properties. It started out with Hot Wheels from Mattel. It moved on to Pirates of the Caribbean with the Walt Disney Company. And then they all came rushing in. I did Halo and Avatar with James Cameron, and I did Transformers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And a few years back, the Tsuburaya Productions reached out to me, which was awesome because I came full circle and fulfilled one of my deepest wishes, which was to work with Ultraman.
Nice. But yeah, that actually kind of answered one of my other questions regarding some of the other franchises that you worked with Starlight Runner. But another major crux of this interview is how did you basically get contacted by Tsuburaya to help bring Ultraman to the West? I assume it was partially due to Tsuburaya winning the whole copyright BS with Chayo, which kind of stopped a lot of things from bringing Ultraman to the West, like the case with Ready Player One when they had to swap out Ultraman with the Iron Giant and the RX-78 to compensate.
That would be roughly correct, Jesse. Um, the the way that I connected with Ultraman and Tsuburaya Productions actually speaks to one of my kind of trade secrets, which was that when I talk to people, I talk to them about my wishes and dreams, in addition to the hard work that I do on these projects. So
Hmm.
it had been kind of in the ether, in the out there in the universe, that I was very interested in working with Japanese popular culture. I loved it when I was a kid, and I never had the opportunity to work with any Japanese companies in my whole career. The closest I got is that I worked with Harmony Gold on a little Robotech project, which
Oh,
was
Harmony Gold, don't get me started on them.
well. I mean, I loved Robotech, so what are you going to do?
Yeah.
um, you know, but that wasn't really working with the Japanese. So I met a licensing agent named Danny Simon. He ran the licensing group based out of Los Angeles, and we were just comparing notes. I love licensing. I love the notion that a license can help you tell a story.
Hmm.
And Danny actually agreed with me about that and told me that there was a company that recently had resolved this major lawsuit, and had their character freed up, and so he was preparing to bring that character from a licensing standpoint to the United States. His name was Ultraman, and I
Nice.
said, "Stop right there." I am a major Ultraman fan from the very beginning. I love that character, and any help you need, I will give you. And Danny's first question was, "How does he eat?"
Oh man.
After a little
Oh,
conversation, he decided to pack me up and take me to Japan to meet Tsuburaya Productions. And
oh, that's
by
awesome.
the end of that meeting, Danny and I were partners working together to you know, reintroduce Ultraman post lawsuit to the rest of the world.
Nice. Now, I know we actually talked about this in emails, and I know your responsibilities with Starlight Runner and Tsuburaya don't extend this far, but I figure I'd nip this in the bud right now so the interview doesn't get bombarded with the same thing. What is your opinion on the sad situation with Milk Creek Entertainment regarding their use of the subtitle tracks from Toku HD on some of their Ultraman releases, which are all known by the Tokusatsu community to be outright garbage?
Well, throw me directly into the hot water, huh?
Yeah, sometimes I like to do that.
um, to me, you know, I don't have all that much to do with the Mill Creek stuff. It predates
Mm-hmm.
my work with Ultraman. I appreciate very deeply the fact that they're exposing Ultraman to a generation of kids who wouldn't ordinarily have anything to do with the character. So I think they're doing us a favor, and the fact that it's on Tokushoutsu and all that sort of thing is nice. I have my own issues with the subtitling. I don't think it's something that they thought about too much because those things kind of pre-existed, and their job is to, you know, there's not a big budget to redo everything and so forth at Mill Creek.
Yeah.
Um, uh, in Japan, there's an offering, a streaming service called Subaraya Imagination, and
Yeah, I have heard about that actually, and I have heard reports from people who have actually gotten Ultraman Imagination that the stuff regarding Ultraman Tiga, like a lot of the stuff from there is actually intact. Like one of the major contention pieces with people that, and it's actually resulting to another question that I have here is that regarding Johnny and Associates with the song "Take Me Higher" by V6. It's like on the DVDs, it's not Take Me Higher is not there. Period. They had to replace it with a song by Voyager for most of the other home video releases. But for Ultraman Imagination, Take Me Higher is completely intact.
That's because
weird.
It's not weird. There's a legal reason for it. In Japan, Tsuburaya is of course allowed to do whatever it wants with its content, and the content remains intact from when it was actually initially produced. So they can run Ultraman Tiga all they want in its original form. Once it leaves Japan and goes overseas, there are issues concerning fees and all kinds of rights that are sometimes tangled up. Now, just as a point of information for you, in this particular case, the source of the problem is not Johnny's, believe it or not. Now, Johnny's is responsible for some other things, but in this particular case, the source has to do with certain aspects of the composition of the song, which are not directly affiliated with Johnny, and so we don't get it. Interestingly, Mill Creek did not remove the song from incidental use during some of the episodes, so you can hear "Take Me Higher" during some of the episodes.
So in some episodes of Tiga, Take Me Higher will be intact. I mean, heck, there's even an episode of Tiga that actually has Take Me Higher as the episode title. It's like, whoops.
Yeah. So it's a these are complicated issues, and some of it is not entirely the fault of some of the people we think, and it's my job to clarify that. I will tell you something, Jesse. It's my dream that that all of Tsuburaya's library finds its way all over the world intact, and with beautiful subtitling, and that's a part of what it is that I'm here to do.
Yeah, I was really interested. I was really interested in one such Mill Creek release a little bit ago was Denko Chojin Gridman, which is basically the digital Ultraman. I was looking forward to actually watching that all the way through, because I actually saw the anime SSSS Gridman from Funimation and the dub for its sequel series Dynazenon that just came out recently. I was thinking about binging the original Tokusatsu, then the two anime seasons back to back. And when I saw the Toku HD subtitles on the Gridman and the Gridman episodes for the Toku version, it just almost kind of broke my heart.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the same for me. They're not my favorite. You know, you get the gist watching the show, and the show is incredibly visual and beautiful to look at. It is worth seeing. You know, I got a copy of Gridman myself, but again, one day we will have proper subtitling on all Tsuburaya content.
I cannot wait for that day.
Agreed.
But yeah, I guess the point two to my original question with the Mill Creek thing is like the whole. There's also another thing with Johnny and Associates that's really got me kind of confused regarding Hiroshi Nagano, who played Daigo Madoka in Tiga, who was the human host of Tiga, and for some reason they won't let him come back to the franchise. The only thing they were able to let him come back for was the commercial for that brand new Figuarts Ultraman Tiga multi-type. I'm like, really? You don't let him come back to the show, but you let him come back for a commercial? Really?
There are, you know, there over the past 2 years, I've learned about the fact that there are layers and layers of complexity to Japanese negotiations and business deals. Um,
Mhm.
that appearance was a negotiation with Bandai,
Yeah.
which, although there's a lot of overlap between Bandai and Tsuburaya, they are two different companies and are negotiating under different circumstances. Um, I haven't given up hope. I have my own relationship with Johnny and Associates. I have found them to be at times reasonable. So
Yeah, reasonable.
let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, it would also be kind of cool, but it would be a bit of a tight shot. Like, considering the fact that V6 is actually disbanded a while back, which was also accompanied with the last performance of Take Me Higher, which sucks. That maybe with Hiroshi Nagano leaving Johnny and Associates along with V6, maybe near the end of Ultraman Trigger that's currently out right now, maybe we could actually see Daigo come back to the role of Tiga one more time at least.
I cannot comment one way or another on that. I'm enjoying
I
Tiga.
figured as much.
It's a little bit different from what I'm used to with Ultraman, but I sure love the appearance of Diavolo.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait for the next Ultra Galaxy fight miniseries. That's going to be incredible.
Let me tell you something. It's going to be stunning, stunning. The work they're putting
Yeah.
into the next one is awesome, and actually, I'm gonna give you some news, Jesse.
Mm,
We are going to show
exclusives.
in an upcoming Ultraman Connection live. We're going to show several minutes of Ultra Galaxy Fight 3. That's within the next couple of weeks.
Nice.
And that footage is awesome, truly awesome. Now,
Nice. Can't wait to see that.
let me explain to some of your audience that might not already know about this. Starlight Runner ran Ultraman Galaxy, which was the website, the general news North American website for Ultraman. We have switched it up and turned it into Ultraman Connection, which is a major global fan hub in English for Ultraman, all things Ultraman. Every month or two, maybe every couple of months, we are going to run a live show that beams content from Japan live from the studio to the fans, where you're going to be able to see interviews with the people who make the show. You're going to see previews, teasers, new content that has never been seen before. And so far, we have included a live floor show where costumed ultras and kaiju do battle. And it is awesome. It's a dream come true. And that's what's going to happen in just a couple of weeks on Ultraman Connection. And the subject, Dinah and Gaia. The next Ultraman Connection Live features Dinah and Gaia, with little hints about what's going on with those two, who haven't appeared much in the franchise in recent years.
Yeah, because that's basically the TDG trilogy for fans. Like, the TDG trilogy is Tiga, Dinah, and Gaia. So getting to see those guys again is going to be amazing. Although you will probably have to wrestle Dinah's actor away from Zenkaiger because he's currently singing the theme song for that.
We did a little wrestling.
Nice. But yeah,
so fans should come to ultramanconnection.com and register now. Register with the site, and we'll send you an email when tickets go on sale.
Right. Actually, I have a question about the tickets that we'll get to it in due time. But first, so it was reported by the Hollywood Reporter way back in 2018. This is how far I did my freaking research. That Starlight Runner was tasked by Tsuburaya to reboot Ultraman in the West. And I assume that doesn't mean Shin Ultraman is coming up, right?
Of course, Shin Ultraman is coming.
Oh, sweet. Well, Shin Ultraman comes to the West. Wait.
How he gets here, we don't know exactly yet, or can't talk about yet. But people all over the world will get to see Shin Ultraman, which,
Can't wait
by
for
the
that.
way, is awesome. It's really, really good.
Yeah,
Man,
I do remember. I do
good.
remember checking out that original teaser for Shin Ultraman a while back, and it looked good.
It is good. There were some delays because of the pandemic, but
Yeah.
that just gave them time to finesse the post production, and it's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's a different Ultraman. It takes place in a different universe.
Yeah. Of course. Okay, here's the big one that I just got it. I got into a couple of things with people on Twitter. Oh boy, here we go.
Great.
What are your thoughts regarding goods being sold as NFTs? I remember way freaking back when tickets for 7 Gear Fight were being sold as NFTs, and you put a shutdown notice on that so fast to make the guy's head spin.
That was me. Jesse, I want to be candid.
Oh yeah, and we also got another NFT situation later on because oh boy.
Yes, the elevated games situation.
Yep.
Well, so let me first. I want to talk about the fact about my feeling about non-fungible tokens in the first place. Look, we have come a long way in terms of technology, and new technologies are introduced all the time. Some of them cool, some of them kind of fade away. Or turn into something else. Everybody used Napster in the 1990s. Everybody, the whole music. Look at you smiling. You used Napster. All right.
So, I used LimeWire way back when. Yeah, way to make me feel old.
Same thing. All right. So you understand.
Yeah.
Non-fungible tokens, to me, are a media platform. They are capable of conveying content. So far, people have been using the platform kind of frivolously, as if these things are trading cards, or little pieces of something or other. It's debatable whether to call some of it even art. And because they are affiliated with cryptocurrencies, and because a whole lot of different people can make them, there have been scams, and there have been a number of problems. And on top of all of that, we have to acknowledge that they consume a tremendous amount of energy in order to devise. So they're not environmentally friendly, digital objects. Now, here's my perspective on NFTs before we get into the issue of Ultraman. I was a massive multiplayer online game player. At a certain point, I was afforded the opportunity to buy a sword, a digital sword for my character. And my friends and I were exposed to this tremendous world where you could exchange money for, doodads and artifacts and things like that within the context of the game, armor and so forth. I was even involved with Halo for Microsoft, and devised and helped them to devise an entire system that promoted the awarding of digital items in return for you digging into the lore and stuff like that. We wanted to promote people learning about the lore of Halo. So I feel that there is value in digital items. I think a lot of people do. So the issue about NFTs is one of integrity. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's my feeling that there have been, if you don't have integrity with Ultraman, you don't have anything. Ultraman is all about integrity. That's his thing.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's also another thing, because this means I get to freely, well, I guess you could say, vent regarding a thing, because by the time this interview gets released, it'll probably be about Halloween, because I'm hoping to release this on Halloween.
Oh, great.
Today on October 22nd was Hasbro Pulsecon, the first day of that, and the first big bit of the thing was Power Rangers, and they've done a whole bunch of like reveals for like brand new toys and stuff, like a lot of Lightning Collection action figures for Dino Fury Red, Dino Charge Pink, Wild Force Silver, the cogs from Zeo, and such like that. They also announced a thing called the Zord Ascension Project, which is basically taking like massive techno details and placing them on top of the original Megazord. And the images I've seen, those look incredible. I would be freely supporting the Zord Ascension Project.
Yes.
It's just that for a variant of the original Dino Megazord that they're going to be doing for the Zord Ascension Project, which is the black and gold version, they put that behind an NFT. They basically put the pre-order for a black and gold Megazord, which is about $200, behind a non-refundable token. I'm like, really, guys? And even Hasbro said a couple of months ago that they weren't going to be doing NFTs because the backlash on that was so bad. They got ratioed so hard, it's not even funny.
How much were those?
And it's going to be happening again.
What, did they cost a lot, the NFTs?
The original NFT plan Hasbro had, it didn't happen because they walked that back. Thank God. The NFT to buy the pre-order for the black and gold Megazord, which apparently won't be out until August next year. So there's that. That is a big whopping $199.99.
I see. Do you get the toy?
Yeah, supposedly with the NFT, and this is basically from what I've listened to on the stream, you buy the digital receipt and you trade the non-refundable token in to get the physical pre-order for the toy, and you'll be able to get the toy when it ships out to you. Now, in that sense, it's not too bad of a deal, but considering the whole craziness with NFTs, it's just really confusing.
No, I understand that, and I understand the aggravation that fans have. Yeah. So let me finish my thought about NFTs and Ultraman, and I have been following the Hasbro issue. I'm concerned about Hasbro's use of whether or not they're using ecologically sound processes in their NFTs and so forth. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. The predating my arrival was the NFT deal that Tsuburaya licensed to Veve, and those seem like they've run fairly well. Veve Collectibles, it's sort of like trading cards. You get your little Ultraman and so forth. It seems to have worked out. There's a controlled market. There's an application that displays your Ultraman NFT and so forth, and generally they have been observing at least the most ecological process possible with them, and here's what that has done on a positive tip. It was the most lucrative Ultraman license in North America. It signaled to Tsuburaya Productions that there is a strong Ultraman fan base, small but strong, in the West.
Yeah.
And it generated enough money for everyone, the licensing group and Tsuburaya, to pay stronger attention to the American marketplace, right? The Ultraman Marvel comic, which is a project I worked on very, very closely, was spectacular in terms of press coverage and in terms of consumer awareness. But comic books don't make a huge amount of money. Those
Yeah,
Veve
they're like,
collectibles, they did.
mm,
So you know, we were okay with that. Then there was the issue of my project, which was a naive approach. We should have been in much better touch with the fandom and studied more closely attitudes of from Ultraman fans about NFTs before we went ahead with that Sevinger fight thing. The minute we saw that there were problems, I pulled the plug, and we apologized. And at that point, I promised that we would have an open dialogue with fans about NFTs to do them right. If they're going to, it's almost inevitable that it's going to happen. It's already happened, Veve.
yeah.
What are you going to do? It's a platform, but I see NFTs as an art form, as a way to help tell stories, and as something that should not be elitist. In other words, anything that's released in NFT form has to have at some point a consumer level version, so that you're
Basically
getting,
like a physical version.
well, a physical version or a digital item that you can buy for $5, not 5,000
Yeah.
bucks, and so forth. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so I had made that pledge, and then all of a sudden, the elevated games drop happened,
Oh yeah, that
and we
fiasco. Oh boy.
it was a surprise.
It certainly was, especially when that account talked to Clint Five, which I'm plugging them, by the way, because they do amazing artwork. But
Uh-huh.
they were trying to NFT their artwork into the game, and I'm like, name fans here? Do you want to throw down?
Look,
Jeez.
it, it didn't take much time for that whole affair to be brought under control.
Yeah.
And let us consider it, you and I and all the fans, to be an anomaly, and it's gone, and we're moving on.
Yeah. Although it's kind of sad because shortly after Tsuburaya sent the cease and desist to Elevated Games regarding that whole thing, Elevated Games and their Discord kind of imploded, where they put their Discord in slow mode so they could delete anybody's comments regarding talking about the cease and desist, and they were outright banning people bringing up the cease and desist, and they said they were also going to contest the cease and desist order, and I'm like,
it
okay,
makes
so you
me
do want to get sued.
it makes me really sad, because I liked Jaren as a person, and there were all kinds of ways, the policy of the licensing group and the policy of Starlight Runner and Iceberg Theory, who run the site, is dialogue, open, authentic, transparent dialogue, and for some reason that was impossible in this case, and so Tsuburaya did what it had to do. I'm apologizing to the fans on behalf of the circumstance. It's undesirable, but it's gone. It was handled very, very quickly. No one puts down
love that.
Ultraman fans. I am fiercely protective of us. I know what it's like to be picked on. I know what it's like to be derided or marginalized because of what I love. And that's not going to happen on my watch.
Yeah, I really do love companies that have a lot of transparent integrity. That's honestly been one of my things regarding my sort of reinvention of myself, as I mentioned in some of my previous interviews. And this might be one of my first interviews where I might not even actually use the MMD models this time. I might just have us on the webcam in just general talking points. I may, of course, I'll edit around some stuff if it's too long-winded, but
I would have checked for boogers if I knew that. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah. Here's a question from one of my friends on Discord, TokuFan75. What else from the Ultra franchise would you like to see localized?
Let me count the ways.
I should have realized that was going to be the answer.
Holy cow! Everything. There is a something wonderful that is only Japanese right now called a Kaiju step. And there is a series of children's books based on Kaiju step that are set on an island, reminiscent of Ogasawara Island in Destroy All Monsters, except these are Ultra Kaiju, and I just adore it. I love it, and very much want to localize it here in the United States. But of course, there are many aspects of Ultraman and the rest of Tsuburaya that I'd like to see come on over.
Yeah, I actually can't wait to see some of the new generation Ultras to come out, like Taiga, who is the son of Ultraman Taro, Ultraman Z. Ultraman Z was a damn good show, especially you just can't go wrong with Masaki Endo singing the theme song.
I adored Zet. It made me feel the way I felt when I was a kid to watch Zet, and that is a banging song.
Yeah, one of my personal favorite Ultraman shows is Jeed, and that was really cool because, yeah, I'll get into that when I talk about one of the other questions later on. But
sure.
Yeah, this question was actually kind of answered earlier regarding Starlight Runner stuff, because what was it like having all these different things scrambling about in your head, like working on the Spider-Man movies, Transformers, TMNT, all those recognizable franchises?
What was rattling around in my head?
Yeah,
first of all,
what was it like having all those things rambling in your head?
At first, it's like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm thrilled because, it's not like I'm serving coffee on the set of these things. I'm working with the creators, discussing the world and how to manage it and how to extend it, and how, what Spider-Man's morality is, or what the Na'vi wisdom system is all about. That's just dreams come true. But here's the real thing that I was thinking, that this is responsibility. When you tell a story that is going to be conveyed to millions and millions of people all over the world, it's important, I think, for us to think about what's being said in this story. And so the first thing that we always do is what is the message here? What is the meaning of this narrative? And how can that meaning be conveyed in such a way that it makes the world a tiny bit better, right? I watched those movies. I read Lord of the Rings. I enjoyed literature and television, but I used what I was receiving to think of ways to improve my situation in life, so that I didn't have to be alone, so that I can connect with people, so that I could realize my dreams. No one sat down and said, "Here's how to do it." I learned it from popular culture, and so that's the gift I'm trying to give to other people all around the world. So that's the first thing I learned from these, no matter whether it's Ninja Turtles, Spider-Man, or Ultraman. There's something in them that brings us to life. What is it, and how do I capture that lightning in a bottle so that I can make sure that it's infused into every piece of content that we're working on.
Mm-hmm. So that's really nice. Hope you enjoyed part 1 of this Ultra interview with Jeff Gomez. Part 2 will be coming later today.